From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, flight operations disrupted for almost 17 hours at Abuja International Airport after Saudi plane veered off the runway. Senate defers meeting with service chiefs due to absence of the Inspector General of Police and the Chief of Army Staff. How far has the military gone with the battle against Boko Haram insurgency? That's on our big story tonight. And UN backs international military intervention in Central African Republic.
And on our business bulletin tonight, the federal government requests a review of Nigeria's ratings from World Bank and other international agencies, says investment flow has improved.
And tonight on sports news, 4 Nigerian players make the top 10 lists of contenders for the CAF African Footballer of the Year award.
Linda Akibe and from Abuja, Aviation Minister absent at Senate public hearing following busy schedule at Abuja Airport.
A Boeing 747 cargo plane, which landed at the Abuja Airport last night, veered off at the maneuvering area of the runway, taxiing into a maintenance area before stopping. Reports also say the aircraft burst into flames, but the fire was quickly put out. The Nigerian Customs Service is not disclosing the content of the cargo in the aircraft, arousing some suspicion on the exact mission of the plane to Nigeria. However, the aircraft has been towed off the runway and normal flight activities have resumed at Abuja Airport. While no casualty was recorded, the disruption of flights left many Abuja-bound passengers from airports across the country temporarily stranded. Meanwhile, the Saudi cargo plane that veered off the runway of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, has been successfully recovered to the apron and the airport reopened for normal flight operations. Speaking to journalists at the airport, the managing director of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, Mr. Nnamdi Udo, expressed regret over the inconvenience the suspension of the flight operations had caused the traveling public. He, however, gave the assurance that the safety and security of air passengers remain a top priority.
The airport has been reopened and a notice has been issued notice to airmen, and we thank our media men for their patience and proper reporting of this incident. Any robust aviation environment must have a robust emergency response, which is what we've done. Between last night and this morning, we have shown a high level of professionalism with all the CEOs and all the operational people and all the construction companies around coming to help to reopen the airport to operation. The aircraft has been moved from the ground where it was and now towed out safely. It's a major precision kind of recovery, and we're happy it was done professionally.
The Saudi aircraft runway incident, which occurred in Abuja, is about the third of such this year, and owing to this situation, the airport remained shut for almost all of today. This background report chronicles similar air incidents that occurred this year. Our aviation correspondent, Bukola Joe Oketumbi, reports.
For about 17 hours today, the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, was temporarily closed to all arriving aircraft following an incident involving a Boeing 747 cargo plane belonging to Saudi Air. The aircraft with registration number K74798 had on Wednesday night landed on runway 04 at about 9:19 p.m. and rolled to the maintenance area of the airside, causing substantial damage to its left wing. 6 souls were on board the aircraft while there were no casualties recorded. The plane is said to be carrying what an undisclosed source say is some dangerous arms and in large quantity. This will be the third major aircraft incident in the Nigerian airport this year. Others include the Cabo Air aircraft incident with 512 pilgrims to Saudi Arabia en route to Sokoto Airport, the IRS aircraft with about 90 passengers and crew in Kaduna Airport, and the Dana Air's air return in Port Harcourt, which resulted in the grounding of its flight operations by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. Bukola Joe, Ketumbi, Channels Television News.
Well, indeed, today's incident unbalanced the aviation sector as concerted efforts were made to remove this plane from the runway. Well, we're now joining our Abuja studios where Linda Akibe will be finding out more details. Hi, Linda.
Thanks, Bimbo. Now, for over 17 hours, passengers were held up at the Abuja International Airport as flight operations were temporarily put on hold. The negative impact of this on both the passengers and the aviation sector could best be imagined. There was huge loss of revenue to the airlines and also grand loss to passengers. Well, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by the General Manager, Corporate Communications of FAN, Mr. Yakubu Dati. So welcome to the news at 10, Mr. Dati.
Thank you very much.
Now let's begin by asking you about the incident involving the Saudi Arabia airline that veered off last night. What exactly happened?
Well, like it was mentioned in the news, the flight Boeing 747 cargo airline landed safely on the tarmac, but while it was taxiing off, it eventually veered off, and it took we immediately reactivated our emergency response alarm system, and all the necessary emergency agencies that were on ground came up and ensured that there was no loss of life, and rescued also the aircraft. And that in itself is a proof that so much has been put into the sector, because in aviation most of what you look at is the issue and the time of rescue operations. That itself indicates the level of growth of an aviation industry.
But why did it take so long to get it off the runway?
Well, to start with, to say that people were delayed for about 17 hours, I think is a little bit exaggerated. Immediately this incident happened, that was about 12 minutes after 10 in the night. We were quickly mobilized to the airport under the supervision of the Honorable Minister, Princess Stella Odua. The Accident Investigation Bureau was there, the Captain Akin Kotu of the NCA was there, Mr. George Resi of FAN. We're all there on ground until 3 a.m. And as I speak with you, they even supervise the takeoff of Lufthansa and Air France at about 12 midnight or thereabout. So there were flights that were taken off, and eventually in the morning, the fact remains that we take the issue of safety as very important and paramount. Flights were allowed to depart, but we didn't want to take any chances with flights coming in. And for that, I believe Nigerians should today be celebrating the decision that has been taken to do that, because no human life can be equated with issues of
so many people were stranded at the airport. So many people today couldn't travel up until in the afternoon.
Yeah, well, if you look at the effort that has been put to ensure that not one life was lost, you will not understand that you cannot equate the benefits of that wise decision, which is hinged on the issue of safety. And like we have always emphasized in the aviation master plan, aviation is about safety, 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 and that is why it becomes the guiding principle of whatever decision that has to be taken. You think of the safety of lives and property, and I think we have achieved that.
Back to the issue of getting the aircraft off the runway. We heard that the agencies involved don't have enough equipment. We're hearing that the agencies had to go to get equipment from Julius Berger to be able to get the aircraft off the runway. Is that true?
Well, when people talk about equipment, these are legacy problems that we inherited 2 years ago before the transformation in the sector. I'm sure that we'll have been talking about a different story if this had happened. You can imagine when it happened at that time.
there was immediate response by the fire service, by the Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau, and other agencies that were there on site. Now, if they didn't have equipment, we probably would have been talking about the aircraft would have been in flames, and the survivors would have been a different story. So I think that most times we should appreciate efforts that are being done, and internationally that is being appreciated. In fact, Nigeria is being applauded, and that gave rise to the reason why for the first time we have a Nigerian, Dr. Aliyu, who has been elected as the president of ICAO, and tomorrow the president of Nigeria is going to honor him in a banquet, and that itself is an indication that the intervention in aviation is yielding not only results but are receiving global acclamation.
Whether the plane was a cargo plane, what investigations have shown that the plane was carrying some arms and military hardware. Is that true?
Oh, I'm just hearing that from you, Linda. Our emphasis is that to ensure that we move the plane out of the runway to look at the issue of safety. The issue of what is inside the airplane, I think there are relevant agencies that will be handling that. And I'm happy with what has been demonstrated by the Accident Investigation Bureau following the ill-fated air crash, where they brought out a report within 1 week. I believe that Nigerians should show a little patience to allow the AIB to come out with their preliminary reports.
But is there any plan for investigation as to know what the content of the plane was or is?
That is why the AIB took charge of the accident incident immediately happened yesterday. And like I said, we needed to look at what are our priorities immediately happened. First is to secure the airport. Secondly is to ensure that there is safety of life and property. And thirdly is to ensure that we move the aircraft out to enable flights to continue. And we're happy that barely 5 to 7 hours this morning, because about 4 o'clock flights have already resumed and things have come back to normalcy. And that has been achieved without taking risks, without risking lives and properties of people. And that in itself is something that we should celebrate. And especially for these men and women in airports who stayed through the night awake, working around the clock to ensure that you and I will today be discussing about the content of what was in the aircraft, not about lives that have been lost or property that has been destroyed.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Mr. Gatti, for coming here on the News at 10. Now that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Bimo.
Thanks for that discussion, Linda. Well, in part 2, after the break, Senate defers meeting with security chiefs. That's in a moment. Do stay with us.